There's no business like show business. I'm not in the savior business here. They were so angry when I showed up. A lot of life is luck. And this takes three things. It takes courage to do this stuff. 2, it takes humility, and 3, it takes discipline. Many of the people I coach are my heroes. They taught me more than I taught them. I won here. I may or may not be a good coach. I get the #1 clients in the world. Hello, my name is Marshall Goldsmith. I'm an executive educator, traveled all around the world speaking and teaching, executive coach. I've had the privilege of coaching many of the top leaders from around the world, and finally I'm an author. I've written or edited 55 books, including 4 New York Times bestsellers.
So, opening question for today, Marshall. Where do you get so much energy from at 75 after doing this for 4 decades?
You know, that is one of the most common questions I get. How do you have so much energy? Traveling all around the world, going this place and that place, and at age 75, I do a chant every day. This chant gives me energy. I'm now going to teach you this special chant. Put both feet on the ground. Breathe. Center yourself. Do your hands like this. And the chant goes like this. There's no business like show business. Well, every day I tell myself, it's showtime. Have you ever been to a Broadway play? Did you ever hear the person say, my foot hurts, I have a headache, I'm tired? No, it is showtime. When I coach people who are CEOs of big companies, I say, that kid is you're making 1,000 times more money than that kid. If that kid can go out there night after night after night, so can you. It's showtime. So the way I get a lot of energy is, there's no business like show business.
In your formative years, Marshall, who influenced your early thought process on leading? And what is the lesson that stayed with you forever?
If I look at my formative years, I was not brought up rich. I'm from a small town in Kentucky called Valley Station, Kentucky. My high school in Kentucky ranked 2nd from last place in academic achievement in Kentucky. Kentucky ranked near the bottom of all states in the United States. This is the bottom of the bottom. My elementary school would have ranked last place of all the elementary schools for the high school. The first 4 years I was in elementary school, we did not have indoor plumbing. We had what was called an outhouse. I did not go to Harvard Prep. What changed my life? My mother. I was growing up, I got a clear message. My mother was a first-grade school teacher. My father had this crazy idea women shouldn't work. Okay, the bad news is she didn't work, so we got to be very poor. The good news is 100% of her school teacher energy was devoted to one person. Who was that student? It was all about me. I knew how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide before I even went to school. Now you can imagine my first day of school, the teacher says, 1 + 1 is 2. I'm sitting there going, yeah. I look around, no one knows this but me. I said, life is good, life is good. 6 years old, I told my mother, I'm the smartest person ever lived. I won here. Well, I had a very big sense of self-confidence as a child, which really helps. Then what else helped me is just being around wonderful mentors. For example, I met a man named Dr. Paul Hersey. Now, he was the highest paid consultant in the world in our field. With Ken Blanchard, he developed something called situational leadership. I got to listen to him talk. He was kind enough to let me sit in the back. I said, man, this guy's fantastic. I want to be him when I grow up. I said, look, I will serve the coffee. I'll move the tables in the back, although I had a PhD. I just want to sit here and listen. Over and over, I did. One day, he became double booked. He said, can you do what I do? I said, I don't know. He said, I need help. Can you do it? I said, I don't know. He said, I'll pay $1,000 for one day. That was 47 years ago. I was making $15,000 for 1 year. 47 years ago, $1,000 a day to a kid who was brought up in Valley Station, Kentucky with an outhouse, that's a lot of money. You know what I said? Yes, sir. I did a program for the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company. They were so angry when I showed up because I wasn't him. It was a 2-week program. I got ranked first place of all the speakers. Now, why? I'm funny. I was telling jokes, having a good time. The rest of them were chronically boring, no doubt. They loved me. I don't know, I'm sure I was a good teacher, but I was certainly more funny than the rest of them. Bring this guy back. You know, at least a humorous interlude, if nothing else. So he called the client up. He's expecting them to be angry. We were angry, but this guy came in first place. Send him again. He said, do you want to do this again? I said, are you kidding me? I'm making 15,000 bucks a year. You're paying me 1,000 bucks a day. Do I want to do this again? Yes, sir. My schedule just cleared. My schedule just cleared. You just tell me, man, I am on that airplane. That's how I got into this business. A lot of life is luck. Now, I had to deliver after he opened the door. He opened the door. I've been very, very blessed. A lot of people opened doors. Peter Drucker, Alan Mulally, Francis Hasselbein. People changed my life. I'm not saying I didn't do a good job. Had they not opened the door, I would never have had the opportunity.
You mentioned your daughter Kelly. I'm inquisitive to know, what are you teaching her today about life and leadership?
Well, what am I teaching my daughter Kelly today? I'm very proud of Kelly. Kelly graduated with honors from Duke University. She's on a TV show called Survivor Africa, the 3rd season of Survivor. She was a little survivor. She went to Hollywood for a couple of years. Not a good idea. Tried to be a movie star. That didn't work out. Then she went back to Yale University, got 2 master's degrees, a PhD, was a professor at the Kellogg School, and now she's a distinguished chair, full professor at Vanderbilt. So let's see, what am I teaching her? I can honestly say very little. Very, very little. And by the way, whatever attempts I'd make at teaching her, they're kind of a waste of time anyway. On the other hand, she taught me something. She taught me something called active questions, and I use it every day. I have this process called the daily question process, and she said, get people to challenge themselves with one question every day. Did I do my best to? Because when they ask that question, they don't blame the environment. They blame themselves. They take responsibility. 6 questions that I got with Kelly. Did I do my best every day to set clear goals? Did I do my best every day to make progress toward achieving my goals? Did I do my best every day to be happy? Did I do my best every day to find meaning? Did I do my best every day to build positive relationships? And did I do my best every day to be fully engaged? You just answer these 6 questions every day. Our research is pretty compelling. You're going to get better. So what did Kelly learn from me? I'm pretty safe saying not a whole lot. What I learned from her, a ton. Now, by the way, one of the things you talk about your kids learning from you. You see, my mother died, and I was sad to see my mother die, and you mentioned my daughter Kelly, and sad to see my mother die. And I remember I was talking to my daughter Kelly about 3 or 4 months later. I said, Kelly, I'm confused. I thought my mother died. I didn't realize she would be reborn in your body. Well, who is the parent in our relationship? Let's see. How much time do I spend telling her what to do? Not so much. How about her telling me what to do? Seems that's a whole lot more.
What creates self-doubt for someone like you, and how do you overcome it? And what's your advice to leaders to overcoming self-doubt?
Most of the people I coach, self-doubt is really not a major problem. The people I coach don't need to go to the assertive training program. They're not sitting there, oh, should I do this? Oh, I don't know if I can make a decision. It's really not their problem. On the other hand, I work with a lot of other people who do have an issue with self-doubt, particularly coaches I work with. My book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. That book talks a lot about something called overselling, promoting yourself too much, winning too much, trying to be right all the time. I did a book with Sally Helgesen, which is the most popular book for women in leadership in the world in the last 5 years, called How Women Rise. It's a wonderful book. We talk a lot about underselling, overcoming self-doubt, not promoting yourself enough. Here's how I coach people that undersell. First, I ask a question on LinkedIn. Do you tend to oversell or undersell? 88% of people say they undersell, not oversell. Then here's how I coach undersellers. 3 questions. 1, I asked them, would the world be worse off or better off if you became more powerful and influential? Peter Drucker said, we're here to make the world better. Okay, if you became more powerful and influential, would the world be worse off or better off? 95% better off. Question 2, does trying to become more powerful and influential make you feel uncomfortable? No, uncomfortable. Striving to get ahead, uncomfortable. Oh, a huge majority of people say yes. Then I asked the hard question 3. What's more important to you? Making the world a better place or being comfortable? If you don't have the guts to go for it, quit whining. Admit the fact you'd rather be comfortable than have the guts to try to make the world better. Now you may have self-doubt. Get over it. You're not competing with God here, you're competing with other human beings. You believe you can make the world better than the average human being? Quit whining, make the best of it, and get out there and build your brand and sell.
In this 47-year journey, Marshall, 2 to 3 leaders that you've groomed, under your tutelage that you're really proud of today?
You know, I'm proud of almost every leader I've coached, but I'll mention 5, and all 5 were ranked CEO of the Year by someone or other in the United States. The first one is Frances Hesselbein, former CEO of the Girl Scouts. Peter Drucker said the greatest leader she's ever met. I talked about 360 feedback. Nobody did 360 feedback then. I'm a pioneer in that project. Well, she personally gets the feedback, goes first, leads by example, and then she trained everyone in the entire organization to do the same thing. That was one. Number 2 was my friend Alan Mulally, who came over to be the CEO of Ford. The stock was 101, and fantastic leader, turned the company around. Not only, though, made the numbers, changed the culture of that company. Number 3, Hubert Joly. Hubert Joly is CEO of Best Buy, fantastic leader. The company was going bankrupt, totally turned Best Buy around, leading by example. He wrote a book about it called The Heart of Business. He talks about me being his coach, how he turned the company around. Number 4, I can't say I've done a lot of work with him, but he gives me a lot of credit, as Albert Bourla. Albert's CEO of Pfizer, and you know, I think he helped do something we'd all be a little thankful for. Came out a little vaccine here, and COVID, kind of a minor thing. So, you know, he's done a lot, and he's probably given me far more credit than I deserve. Really, he's the one who deserves the credit for that. And then number 5 is a man named Kent Kressa, years ago, CEO of Northrop Grumman. Another company was going bankrupt. He comes in, totally turns the corporation around, very humble, modest guy. He's the guy that taught me the importance of feedback and follow-up. So I'd say those are 5 people I've coached that I'm very proud of. Now, one thing I want to be very clear. These 5 people, what did they learn from me and what did I learn from them? It is not close. I learned far more from all 5 of these people than they ever learned from me. If you read the endorsements for my book, these nice people give me lots of credits. They talk about I'm a wonderful person, blah, blah, blah. Reality is they are wonderful.
And just to double click on that, what is the common lesson that they all taught you?
One common lesson from all these people is lead by example, and it's be a role model. What I teach works. It doesn't work if you don't do it. And by the way, the first person you need to apply it to is who? Yourself. If you don't want to do it, you don't want to stand up, you don't want to apologize for mistakes, you don't want to be a role model, you don't want to go through this, don't bother asking everybody else. And this takes 3 things. It takes courage to do this stuff. 2, it takes humility, and 3, it takes discipline. You got to do the hard work. Well, if they have the courage, humility, and discipline, guess what? They're going to get better. And you know what? I'm going to look like a hero. If they don't have the courage, humility, and discipline, I'm going to look like a bad coach. What about those clients that don't want to do all the stuff I teach? I've learned a great lesson. You know what it is? Bye-bye. You see, I've learned a hard lesson in life. My name is Marshall Goldsmith, not Jesus Christ. I'm not in the savior business here. So if somebody comes to me and says, prove to me this works, you know what I'll say? It probably doesn't. I think it's a bad idea. You're right, terrible idea. Don't do it, it's fine. I'm not here to save people. Somebody doesn't care, I don't care. And these are grown up, they're rich anyway. These are grown up people. They don't want to get better, I don't care, don't.
Marshall, in today's AI high-powered data world, what is the most underrated or unused quality by leaders that often get unnoticed?
I think one of the most underrated qualities for leaders is humility. Every client I coach gets confidential feedback, and they all publicly apologize for making mistakes. They don't blame others, they pick things to improve, and they're open about talking about it. One of the great leaders I coached is Hubert Joly. Hubert was the CEO of Best Buy, a company that was going bankrupt. He goes and becomes the CEO. The first says, my name is Hubert Joly, I have a coach. I'm trying to improve. I want you to help me. I need you more than you need me. Please help me. And I want you to do the same thing. He did not ask anyone to do anything he wasn't doing. If you want other people to develop, let them watch you develop. Yeah, you take a little responsibility. You go first.
Marshall, how does a leader galvanize and turn people to believe in his or her cause?
I think one of the keys to developing followership is called leadership by example. Not standing up and preaching, living. Let me tell you one story. One of the greatest leaders I ever met, a wonderful woman, a great friend named Frances Hesselbein. Peter Drucker, the founder of modern management, said she's the greatest leader I ever met, an amazing human being. So one day she asked me to work with her and the leaders of all the Girl Scouts, and I said, I'm happy to work with you, but I can't get my laundry done. Is there some way you can get my laundry done? She said, not a problem, not a problem. So what do? She said, put your dirty clothes in a pile on the floor. I'll have someone pick them up, take them to our facilities. We have laundry thing. It'll be done when you get finished. I said, well, thank you so much. The next morning, I wake up. I'm talking to the head of the Girl Scouts in New York and Los Angeles, very distinguished women. And I look up, and walking down the hall is my friend Frances Hesselbein, the CEO, carrying my dirty laundry. Dirty socks, underwear, she's carrying that in front of everyone. She didn't have to get a little sermon about lead by example, or a little sermon about humility, a little sermon about servant leadership. Every woman saw her. Well, you want to inspire people, you go first. You go first. Lead by example. Don't lead by giving speeches.
Marshall, you've pioneered the stakeholder-centered coaching method and coached hundreds of leaders. What is the most common leadership flaw you've seen, and how has your method helped fix it?
I was interviewed in the Harvard Business Review and asked this question: what is the #1 challenge of all the successful people you've met over the years? And my answer, winning too much. And what does that mean? If it's important, we want to win. Meaningful, we want to win. Critical, we want to win. Trivial, we want to win, and not worth it, we want to win anyway. Winners love winning. Everyone I coach is a winner. It's hard for winners not to constantly go through life winning. I'm going to give you a case study of winning too much. And I'm going to predict you, listening to me right now, have failed this case study. Are we ready? You want to go to dinner at restaurant X. Your husband, wife, friend, or partner wants to go to dinner at restaurant Y. You have a heated argument. You go to restaurant Y. The food tastes awful. The service is terrible. Option A, critique the food. Point out our partner was wrong. This mistake could have been avoided if only you'd listened to me, 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 me. Option B, shut up. Eat the stupid food. Try to enjoy it and have a good night. What would I do? What should I do? Almost all my clients, what would I do? Critique the food. What should I do? Shut up. Well, it is very difficult for winners not to win. Very important before you start winning, breathe and ask yourself the question, what am I winning? Why am I doing this?
You've said you've learned a lot from the leaders you yourself have coached. What is one of the most valuable lessons you've learned on the job, and from whom?
As a coach, I get evaluated based on results. And let me define results. Results are not that my clients think they got better, or I think they got better. Stakeholder coaching is everyone around them thinks they got better. The client I coached I spent the most amount of time with didn't improve at all. The client I coached spent the least amount of time with improved more than anyone I've ever coached, and hundreds of people got better. So I made a chart. On one dimension it was called time spent with Coach Marshall Goldsmith. The other dimension is called improvement. There was a negative relationship between spending time with me and getting better. Well, I thought, this is troubling. I go talk to my client who improved the most, who was the CEO of the Year in the United States, ranked by Fortune magazine as the 3rd greatest leader in the world that year, behind only the Pope and Angela Merkel. His name, Alan Mulally. Alan went to Ford, the stock was 101. He left 1840, went up 1,837% while he was the CEO. Even more impressive, a 97% approval rating from every employee in a union company. This is unheard of for a CEO. I talked to my friend Alan. I said, Alan, of all the people I've coached, you improved the most. You were fantastic to start with, and I spent the least amount of time coaching you. I showed him my chart. I said, Alan, the way this chart looks, had you never met me, you would have been even better. I said, now, what should I learn about coaching from you? He taught me a lesson that changed my life. He said, Marshall, your whole job as a coach is called one thing, customer selection. You work with smart, dedicated, hardworking, good people. That stakeholder coaching process of yours will always work. You work with the wrong clients, that process will never work. And he said, don't make coaching about yourself and your own ego and how smart you think you are. Make it about the great people you coach and how proud you are of them. Well, I got ranked #1 coach in the world for years. Nobody knows I'm a good coach. I can say with certainty one thing. I may or may not be a good coach. I get the #1 clients in the world.
Marshall, you've often emphasized the importance of purpose and legacy in leadership. What do you want your legacy to be, and how are you working towards it?
Well, that's a very good question. I can answer that question. A large part of my life is spent on nothing but legacy. I went to a program called Design the Life You Love. And a woman said, who are your heroes? My heroes are very kind and generous people who are great teachers who taught me so much. Peter Drucker, Paul Hersey, Warren Bennis, Alan Mulally, Frances Hesselbein. Many of the people I coach are my heroes. They taught me more than I taught them. And they were kind and generous people. She said, you should be like your heroes. I decided to adopt 15 people, teach them all I know for free. So I make a little video and put it on LinkedIn. I said, I'm going to adopt 15 people and teach all I know for free. And the only price is when you get old, you got to do the same thing. I'm thinking 100 people would apply and I'll adopt 15. Oh, I was wrong. 18,000 people applied to be adopted. So now I've adopted 400 people, and I'm teaching them all I know for free, and the only price is when they get old, they do the same thing. Well, that's a legacy project for me. Now, a bigger legacy project for me is what I'm working on with my own Marshall Goldsmith.ai, my own computer bot. What is the definition of legacy? The definition of legacy is being there when you're not there. Look, I'm 75. I'm a Buddhist. Buddha learned 3 things as a very young man. You get old, you get sick, and you die. I'm not exempt from any of these 3 things. I'm not going to be here forever. My legacy is giving away all I know to as many people as I can in the time I have left to do it. And my computer bot is amazing. You could ask it pretty much any question today. It'll answer it probably as well or better than I can in about 10 seconds, and it's free to everyone in the world.